Well, hi everybody, I'm Alice Corner. Welcome to Facebook Live, and I am here with the one, the only internationally acclaimed chef, Curtis Stone. And you know, it's January. A lot of us did a little extra over the holidays, so it seems appropriate that what we're going to be talking about is healthy food swaps, right?
Yes.
Ways we can take your favorite dishes and make them healthy. So what we'd like to do, tell us what dishes you'd like to make healthy, and then Chef here is going to help us turn it into something that we can eat and feel less guilty about, right?
Yeah. You know, it's one thing I did when I worked on that show, The Biggest Loser, is we'd say, start off with something that you just love. Who cares how many calories are in it, how much fat's in it? Something you love. And someone would say nachos. And I'd be like, okay, nachos. Well, instead of using fried corn chips, you could use baked pita chips. And instead of using this much cheese, you could use that much cheese. And instead of using, you know, so there's ways around, you know, we can still get the flavor and the deliciousness that we want, but we can do it in a much healthier way. So I absolutely love doing it. It's something I try and do a lot at home.
Great. So just put your suggestion in the little comment box, okay? Type it in and let us hear from you. But what are you whipping up for us right now?
Okay, so we're going to make some meatballs. Right, that doesn't sound healthy, but we're going to do turkey meatballs with a marinara sauce, and we're going to keep the sauce really delicious and healthy. So we're going to start with that. Now, of course, one of the great things about the DuraPan, which is what you hear me talk about so much here at HSN, is the incredible non-stick surface. So it actually means that you really don't have to use oil. Now, if you want to use a little oil for flavor, sure, you can. But I'm going to throw some shallots and lots of garlic to give you lots of flavor. And then I've got an oil infuser here. So I've got a little bit of garlic and thyme inside that's actually flavoring the oil. So I'm going to pour just maybe a teaspoon of oil for flavor, and we're going to let that sort of soften up the shallots and the garlic. So that goes for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add our tomatoes, white wine, and then eventually some basil. But while we do that, what I want to show you is how to make the meatballs, because effectively all of this stuff, an egg, some mustard, some cayenne pepper or paprika is also really good, shallots and garlic, and a little parsley, basically goes into making the meatballs. But I've got a secret weapon here. This is softened bread with a little skim milk. All right, and that gives you this incredible texture with your meatballs. So what I like to do is just toss it all in. The thing you have to remember whenever you're making meatballs or any sort of mixing of meat is you want to mix it as little as possible, because you don't want to, the more you exercise the meat, the firmer it's going to get. You want your meatballs to be quite tender rather than super firm. So all this goes in. Garlic, shallots, and don't be shy, guys. You let us know what you want us to do for you, and we will give you those ideas. Your spices go in, and then of course your mustard. And then the way I do this is I get my gloves on.
I was going to say, 'cause in my house, we just get right on in there.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. But I'm doing this in front of all you guys, so I'm going to wear some gloves. Another way, of course, is to get just a spoon and just sort of cut some of those ingredients through. All right, so without overly working it too much, you're sort of just cutting it through, and that will help to get the mix sort of going at least. All right. Salt and pepper, if you like. I actually don't put a lot of salt and pepper into my meatballs because I season them on the outside. So then what you want to do is, like I said, don't overwork it. You just kind of bring this together. Okay.
It smells so good from here.
It does already, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. Those onions and garlic don't do you any harm either. It smells. It's such one of those beautiful dishes that, you know, when you actually start this, if people are coming over or popping around, they're like, oh, what are you cooking? What's for dinner?
It's going to feel like home.
Your neighbours will come knocking.
And you're going to have a lot of company for dinner.
Exactly. All right, so once you've sort of cut all of those ingredients through like that, it's pretty much done. Then what you want to do is just go ahead and get the amount that you want to sort of, maybe just a little more, the amount that you're looking for. And you can make huge meatballs, you can make little tiny ones too. So I just sort of get ones about that size and just sort of drop them from one hand to the other, and you'll end up, it doesn't have to be perfectly shaped, by the way. I actually quite like it when they look super rustic like this, because it shows your guests that you've made them homemade. Okay, so Again,
Now
just
I get to
dropping
tell
them-
everyone I was your sous chef because I cleared those, okay?
No problem. And you can make, there's nothing wrong with making some big ones and some smaller ones because, let's face it, there's different sized people in the house too. So, we've got a couple of kids. I make smaller ones for my boys and I make bigger ones for me.
Well, for the teenagers, you better make the super-sized ones.
Right. Yeah, my kids are a little younger. Okay, so once you've made your meatballs, you sort of just keep your eye on your sauce there. And Alice, would you go ahead and pour the that white wine into the shallots and the garlic? Beautiful. So that term is called deglazing the pan. So what you're doing is any of the caramelization that's sort of started to happen on the bottom of the pan, you're now lifting that up and incorporating it into the flavor of the sauce. Wow. Stainless steel utensils in a non-stick pan. Don't worry, she hasn't lost her marbles.
No worries.
She's doing exactly what she should be with the DuraPan. All right, so once you get all of those meatballs on there, and you can see I've made really big rustic ones. Matt, who runs around and helps me out, made some really nicely put together ones. But truthfully, they can be either, right? One thing that is important is you pop them in the fridge because that's going to help them to firm up before you start caramelizing. So that's an important step that I'm going to do.
That's going in there. And again, we'd love to hear from you. What foods would you like to see turn into a healthy food swap, made healthier, so that we can enjoy the things that we love, but feel less guilty about it, especially as we kind of try to get over the holiday.
The holiday hump.
Yeah.
Or the holiday lumps.
The lumps and bumps.
It's true. We all have them. Don't worry. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the heat up on my pan here because what I want to do is caramelize these meatballs, and then once that white wine has reduced down, which is happening, you can see that beautiful bubbling going on there. What we're going to do is throw in some of these guys, San Marzano tomatoes.
Oh, the best.
That's the variety of tomato that I'm talking about. These have just been sort of broken up a little bit. They're tinned. That's fine. You're better off getting perfect San Marzanos that come from the peak of summer in Italy. All the sweetness and deliciousness are in the tin.
I have a question. Do you take the seeds out of them?
You know what? I'll give them a quick squeeze and remove some of the seeds, but I strain the juice and throw it back in. So you don't have to, truthfully. The seeds, the reason people do it is the seeds have a little bit of bitterness, and if you think it's going to interfere with the sweetness of your sauce, that's the reason that you would. Okay, that's warm. So let's go ahead and throw these pre-chilled meatballs in. Gorgeous. And you see, I'm not putting any oil in the pan, and we can do that because you have the opportunity of the DuraPan. You can just sort of slide it around, and you're still going to get that caramelization without needing the excess oil.
Now, while this is cooking, we already have a question that's come in.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we could go ahead and answer that. Is that okay? So the question is, what is a healthy alternative for spaghetti, since we're cooking the meatballs and the sauce?
Well, look, the truth is you don't need pasta to have great meatballs and sauce, all right? You can just serve the meatballs and the sauce, and that's okay. Yeah, I would say crusty bread, but truthfully, if you're going to eat the bread, you may as well eat the pasta. Another alternative is getting zucchini, carrot, and making like beautiful thin strands. Have you ever seen one of those?
Like a
spiralizer,
right?
Or even a mandolin that you cut strips, and then you can sort of chop it up. What you do is you get those beautiful strands, and then you just throw it straight into the sauce, and then that vegetable actually becomes the body that you're looking for when you're talking about what pasta should I use.
That's a great idea. All right.
All right, so you just keep tossing these around, and you see you're going to start getting little bits of caramelization on these guys, which is perfect. And as long as you keep moving them, they're just going to slowly caramelize up and get beautiful and tasty.
And see, typically you would have a whole bunch of olive oil in there.
Right.
That's where the calories really come from.
Oh, yeah.
But especially with your pan, with the DuraPan, you don't have to add one drop of oil.
No oil.
Pretty amazing.
And that's the thing, like if you think about how much oil you're currently cooking with.
Right.
Every time you fry something, every time you saute something, every time you stir fry something, you add that oil. If you add that up over a week, it's probably like a quarter of a cup.
And the amount, I wish I had it that I could Google it, the amount of calories, like in one tablespoon of oil, is so mind-boggling. And I know you need some, and I know there's some, health benefits to it, but once you read that, then you understand how much healthier this is going to be as an alternative.
See how our white wine is almost reduced down to nothing, right? What we're doing when we reduce something is we're concentrating the flavor. So you're taking, let's call it half a cup of liquid. That means there's all the flavor that's in that half a cup of liquid is distributed through the half a cup. You reduce that half a cup to a quarter cup, then you've still got the same amount of flavor, but now it's in a quarter cup, so it becomes very concentrated and much stronger in flavor, which is what you want to do with a white wine. Once you've reduced it down, then you bring your tomatoes over, you add those in, and you're going to let that simmer truly for as long as you can afford to let it simmer for. If that's 20 minutes, by all means, serve it in 20 minutes. If you can leave it on a really low heat for an hour or so, or even 2 hours, even better. You might have to keep just putting a little bit of liquid in, but all those flavors are going to mingle even better with a bit more time. So we're going to let that come up to the boil and see where we end up with it.
And we just heard from Libby on Facebook Live. She said that
Hi, Libby.
that's an awesome pan, and she got her mom one for Christmas.
Oh, thank you, Libby. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful gift because it gives back. Whoever you give it to is going to cook you something nice. That's what I always say. It's the same with a cookbook. You give someone a cookbook and then they cook you something from the book. It's a pretty good idea.
And you know, now you're able to cook healthier as well, which is what we're talking about today right here on Facebook Live. If you have something that you like to make but you would love to see it made in a healthier way, that's what we're doing right now, healthy food swaps. So please, just in the little comment box, put in what you would like us to make healthier. We're making right now a healthier form of meatballs, healthier form of spaghetti sauce. And
should we do something for the people on the West Coast who are just waking up and still breakfast time?
Sure.
So we've got this incredible egg poacher that comes with the Today Special today. But have a look at this, guys, because it's a beautiful big pan. I'm going to just remove the lid. And you can see the poacher actually just sits over some boiling water like that. But what I'm going to do is poach some eggs and then show you how to make a mojo sauce with avocado, which is like a really healthy version of like an Eggs Benedict, let's say. So it's this simple. You get your eggs and you crack them in the actual poacher, and with a little poacher like this, it's really cheating. It allows you to do sort of restaurant quality poached eggs, which is super cool.
Because if you've tried them in the pan of water, even with the vinegar, they never turn out beautifully like you get them in a restaurant. Now it's going to be perfect, right?
Oh, look at that one. I put some shell in.
Oh, a little extra crunch.
It's like I've got Hudson here with me. Right, let me get it out. Hold on. There we go. 2 more.
And while you're doing this, one of the questions that I had was, what food should we consume less of in our diet? What are we putting in our diet that really is just not good for us?
Look, I think it depends on a couple of things. Depends on how active you are. If you're super active, like athletes, they need a lot of carbohydrate because they need that energy to keep moving as much as they do, right? If you work in an office and you're not going to the gym and you're not doing as much exercise, you've got to cut a lot of that carbohydrate out, and that comes in the form of bread and pastas and white rice and starchy things, even starchy vegetables. I think fats, of course, we should try and cut back on, because the less fat that's in your diet, the more space you've got for other healthy foods. Whole foods is probably the most important thing. So whether it's whole grains, vegetables, fruits, seafood, of course, balance is the cornerstone of a healthy diet, right? So if you can have good balance throughout, then you're in a pretty good place.
Exactly.
Speaking of good balance, this is a really healthy way to get some fat into your diet, avocados. So I'm going to actually go through and just take these avocados out of the skin. I've got just a couple here. And we're going to make sliced avocado. And you could put this on the toast. We've got a little bit of toasted sourdough, or you could go and make a guacamole if you wanted to. So the avocado's there. What we are going to make is a mojo sauce. So in the front here, I've got just a little bit of oil, and you basically want to just warm that up until it's the same temperature as you. So you don't want it to be hot by any stretch, because you're not trying to cook it. You're just trying to warm it up, and then you add some fresh herbs. So I'm going to add some parsley, some lime zest, and some chili pepper. Oh, we got another question.
Yeah, and the question is from Jessica. She wants to know, do you sell the egg piece?
We sure do. Yes,
Matter of
it's
fact,
actually
today.
a part of today's special value. So if you go on to hsn.com, you'll be able to find the TS, and this is
Isn't that awesome?
this is one of the pieces in
Now,
a
if I want to
13-piece
just
cookware set.
cook 2 eggs at a time, can I do that?
Oh, you sure can. You just
Okay.
you just leave 2 cups in and the rest out.
I'm
Yeah.
turning your meatballs for you.
Thank you, my darling. Okay, what do you think? Should we mush up the avocado, or do you want to keep it in slices?
I like it mushed.
You like it mushed, me
Right,
too.
so it's all
Okay.
spread evenly.
Good. So just a little bit of parsley, and I'm going to put a little bit of lime juice. Actually, I'm going to put a lot of lime juice because I love the citrus and the richness of the avocado. And then get in there with my. This is actually a tool as well that we've come up with, which is an avocado tool, which helps you just get it out. You can slice it, and you can also turn it into guacamole really, really easily. Okay, so an avocado and lime juice puree, we're going to call this. Beautiful. And then what we do is with this little bit of toasted sourdough that we have here, is I'm just going to take just a little bit of my guacamole and put it straight on top like that. Leave it a bit of a flat surface for the egg. Looking good. Okay, and then the poached egg's going to sit on top of this. Because, you know, when you think of breakfast, you're usually thinking of bacon with eggs or, you know, fried mushrooms or beans. This is a really good way to get, you know, good healthy fruits and vegetables into your diet, but still living a little, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what we want to do.
I mean, you know, I
Poached
live to
eggs, yeah.
eat. You know, we're obsessed with food. And, you know, especially this time of year, a lot of us are looking for those comfort foods.
Right.
It's so cold outside. And we have Mary from our
yes.
Facebook Live feed who wants to know about a healthy alternative to meatloaf. I like
Uh-huh.
to hear that myself, Mary. That sounds yummy.
Good idea. Okay, so meatloaf, traditionally we're talking ground
Ground beef.
beef with, you know, truly, meatloaf's a tricky one because you do need a little bit of fat in that ground beef, otherwise it's going to be quite dry, okay? But if you do go for a leaner ground beef, and you can choose that, you can get a 90% beef, 10% fat, you can 80%, 20%. I would go for like a 90-10. And then in the ketchup that you make that sort of covers it, the glaze, just go a little lighter with the sugar. Don't use too much sugar. Maybe use some hot sauce.
Ooh.
You know, sometimes spice is a good way to substitute for sugar because you get like a little bit more of a zing. Citrus as well is a really good way. So you could go for something a little spicier, more South American, sort of in tone, which could really work. I hope that helps.
Oh, it sounds great.
Turkey is another good alternative. You could do a turkey meatloaf like we're doing turkey meatballs here. The next step to this, by the way, is you're just going to take these meatballs and drop them into the sauce, and you're going to let that sauce continue to simmer. And what's going to happen now is the flavor of the sauce is going to mingle with the meatballs, and any of that juice that comes out of the meatballs is likewise going to sort of add a little value to your sauce. Now I did cheat because this one's been going for half an hour, and I wanted to show you the difference. By the way, check this little tool out. Steamy lids and countertops, they've never been friends. So what I did is I designed this little lid rest, so all of that sauce and juice gets like sucked down into the bottom of the lid
Like
rest. So
not a drop on the counter.
keeps your
Perfect.
kitchen clean. Okay, so that's it, right? Like, you see how this has sort of developed into that, and you really have this beautiful sauce now. I'm going to bring it up the front here, and I'm going to show it to you because we got that question before about the spaghetti. A lot of people think straight away spaghetti and meatballs. You really don't need to serve them that way. So I'm going to just go ahead and plate this up. And then when I spoon the sauce, grate just a little bit of Parmesan cheese for that rich, beautiful flavor, and then finish it with a little basil. You'll see what I'm talking about, not needing the pasta.
That looks beautiful.
Doesn't that look great?
I mean, who would even know that that's made with turkey instead of ground beef?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? The flavor is just as fantastic.
And we have somebody else from Facebook Live. It's Maria. And Maria says that she thinks this is the very best cookware that she has ever used. And
Wow.
I think many of us agree with you, Maria. There are such fans. Even here at HSN, I mean, so many of the show hosts own this as well. It's fabulous cookware. The performance and the cleanup is just so simple.
It really is. It's
Even
so
with
easy.
pasta, you know what the pasta pots are like, right? Typically.
Right.
But not with this.
Yeah, no, the cleanup on this is really a breeze.
Oh.
I use lots and lots of fresh basil on, so you almost can't see the meatballs because the flavor, as it hits the warmth of the meatballs, it just bursts out. It's so good. So good.
Beautiful.
Okay, and as long as that took, we're now ready to go ahead and do our beautiful poached eggs over here.
I'll switch with you right
let's
here.
Switch it up. And that's all it takes is just a couple of minutes. It's really, really fast, really, really simple. And in fact, what I'm going to do is show you a little trick, because if you try and do this while it's still on the pot, it just gets a little hot, okay, because you've got steam coming up with the boiling water. So what I do is I lift the whole thing up and I remove it from the steamy water, bring it over here, and then as it just cools down ever so slightly, it makes it just that little bit easier for you to pick them up. All right, so we've got our avocado is looking beautiful. Next job is to just remove the eggs, and you can just give them a little
How
tap.
beautiful are those eggs?
Aren't they cool?
Oh, I love it.
And they just pop straight on out. And the avocado creates like a really nice little bed for them to sit on. Okay, now if you didn't want to use a sauce, but you were a little worried that they look like spaceships, because these eggs, right, they have this funny little look. All that you do to break it up is just a little bit of cracked pepper. And let me show you what I'm talking about. We have the sauce, but I just wanted to show you this just in case. So see how that just changes the way it looks? Just that little bit of pepper, and it gives it a beautiful flavor as well. But the mojo sauce that we've gone ahead and made over here.
Now, what's the mojo sauce made of?
The mojo sauce has got the chili pepper, the little bit of garlic, the oil, and then the and fresh parsley, little lime zest as well. And there it is right there. So it's a healthier version of like an Eggs Benedict, if you like.
And it's even prettier. Isn't
it?
that beautiful?
Aren't they
Wow.
great?
Oh, that's such a great idea.
So imagine serving that at your next brunch.
Absolutely. Imagine eating that right in about 2 minutes as we say goodbye right here on Facebook Live. And we want to thank each and every one of you for being part of our Facebook Live feed, especially you, Chef.
No, my
Thank you
pleasure.
for giving us some great
Thanks for tuning
ideas.
in.
And, oh my, I don't know whether to start there or there, but maybe we'll start there
I'm going
and
to
end
start
there.
there, and I think we'll end
Okay,
there.
deal. Thank you so much. You're going to be
Thanks,
back live on air at HSN.
Live on air at 2 o'clock.
All
Lots
right.
more ideas. Come and have some lunch with us.
And I will see you back here tomorrow. So take care and enjoy your Sunday.